More Than Just a Pretty Face, Chapter 12, page 171. It was picture day for the contestants of Renaissance Man, and my tie wasn't sitting right. I'd go on a half Windsor knot, which seemed like a good middle road between the casualness of a four-in-hand and the fuddiness of a full Windsor. The problem was that while I knew a lot about knots in theory, having watched a gazillion YouTube videos on how to tie, this was the first I'd worn one in real life. It looked like a little lopsided and kept drifting to the left. Don't get me wrong, I looked awesome in my deep blue suit. But even though I got a ton of compliments from all the other kids at school, I couldn't stop fussing with the tie. It was Sarab ultimately who noticed. He gestured for me to give it to him. My father makes me tie every tie has since I was 10. Why? For days like this, I suppose. I watched Sarab loop the silky snake around his own neck and began twisting it. It looked like he was doing exactly what I've done. The task gave him the perfect excuse not to look at me as I said, "Sorry about the other day when you were talking to Caval. I shouldn't have said anything." "It's cool," I told him. "I'm really good at letting things go. People screw up, I get it. I screw up all the time and I forgive myself pretty much right away. Seems only fair to do the same to other people, or for other people. Just admit that you were wrong about me not being funny, and we'll call it even." "You know how I feel about lying," he said. I rolled my eyes. "I meant what I said at the party at your house. No one likes you because you're funny. They laugh when you tell little jokes because you want them to, and they want to do what you want because I'm gorgeous." He shook his head. "Because you're true." "What does that even mean?" Sarab didn't answer. He was done with his knot, so he forced the tie over his head and handed it to me. I put it on and tightened it. The knot was perfect. "You look good," he told me, as if I didn't know. "Have you seen Zar?" Sarab said. "Have you thought about when you want to stop asking me that and just talk to him yourself?" He looked away and smiled a bit. "A little. You know how sensitive he is about the fact he dates. He's sensitive because he knows it's wrong. Deep in his soul, he knows he's dooming himself to eternal torment. Yeah, I don't think that's it." Sarab folded his arms across his chest. "Sometimes it surprises me how little you seem to know about Islam, having been a Muslim all your life. Sometimes it surprises me how little you know about Intizar, having been his friend all your life." That seemed to take the fire out of him. "That was clever," he said. "I know, right? Now, if you'll excuse me, I have a camera to dazzle." As I walked away from him, I couldn't help but wonder if I should have said something more to my old friend, but decided that I'd been right to keep my mouth shut. Just like Intizar was touchy about anyone challenging his decision not to practice Islam, Sarab would be touchy about his decision to embrace it. My friends were, strangely enough, more alike than either one of them would admit. By the time I walked into Mr. Eldridge's class, where the photographer was setting up, everyone else was all ready. 6 faces, sour as umboshi plums, glowered at me. Natari alone smiled and came over. She was wearing a full-length red dress that highlighted her dark hair. "The man of the hour," she said. "We were just talking about you." "You were?" I glanced at others while trying to look like I was looking at them all. "We all think it's ridiculously unfair that our pictures will go up next to yours. Maybe try not to look great, so we'll look okay." "I would if that weren't impossible," Notori chuckled. "You look nice, though," I told her. Then, without thinking about it, added, "Which I'm sure you'll hear from Zar." Her cheeks went a little pink, but she looked pleased. Then she started to say something, but the photographer spoke up. He told us that we do individual portraits, which he thought parents might be interested in buying, and then we'll do a few group shots. "So," the photographer said, clapping his hands, "who wants to go first?" "Jelani should go first," Ellen Rhodes says, in honor of the fact that he'll finish last. That drew some chuckles. "Come on, Jelani," Rhodes went on. "Show us how it's done." I didn't want to think about Bisma and Suri had said about Caval. One of the problems with trying not to think about something, of course, is that it always fails. You can't help but think about the thing you're trying not to think about. I mean, people say that the human mind is incredibly complex and all, but it has this very serious and basic design flaw which no one talks about. It's like, no, sorry. It'd be like a web browser that only takes you to websites that you don't want to go to. What's even the point? Anyway, one thing Bisma had said did make sense. There's no reason for me to get a degree or a respectable job, as my father would put it. Kaval could do that. There's no reason for two people in the couple to be respectable. That'd just be boring. I don't know much about relationships. Not that Kaval and I were in a relationship or anything, but I've always heard that communication is key. That sounded like something that was true. Of course, my parents had been married for like 23 years or something, and they never seemed to really talk at all. But maybe they were the exception that proved the rule. Anyway, I decided to discuss all this with Kaval, and I found her at lunch in the cafeteria. She was unfortunately sitting with a bunch of her friends, Cindy, Maria, Galena, and a few others. I sighed. There's something about a group of girls together that I find a little scary. I'm super smooth and suave one-on-one, of course, but something about a battalion makes me a little nervous. Still, as one of the books I'd read about Churchill said, I girded my lions. What the heck does that actually mean? What's a gird? And why do people do it to lions? Why do people even have lions? And made my way over their table. Hey, Danielle, Cindy said, twiddling her fingers at me. I like your shoes. I glanced down at my caramel-colored dress shoes. Thanks. Hey, Caval. Yes, she asked, pretty frostily, which caused all the other girls to start snickering. Can I talk to you for a second, alone? That drew a series of suggestive oohs from the table. Mercifully, Caval nodded and followed me to the hall outside. What? She demanded, turning to face me as soon as there was no one in earshot. I frowned. Her eyes were narrowed, her arms were crossed, and her lips were pursed together in a tight line. Wait, you're pissed off at me? Yeah, genius, I'm pissed at you. Why? Caval threw her arms in the air, and I gave you an opening, and you didn't take it. After you've been drooling over me for years, by the way, you wanted time to think. Seriously? That's so insulting. I can't believe you just didn't realize I was mad. Sorry? She tossed her hair back over her shoulder with a forceful jerk of her head. Fine, whatever. What do you want? I assume you finally decide to agree to what I'm saying. Actually, I said, I was thinking, you shouldn't do that, Danielle. You'll sprain something. Okay, look, Caval, I do really like you, but I paused. I didn't want to be the first one to mention money. She hadn't technically done it. I felt, I don't know, maybe Bisma and Suri had been wrong. Maybe Caval didn't care about being wealthy, and I just misunderstood her. I definitely offend her of bringing it up. I wasn't clear on what you meant. She crossed her arms. I literally told you what to do. How could I possibly be any clearer? Use my notes. Do well on Renaissance Man. Impress my parents. Go to college. Get a degree. Then we can be together. What part of that exactly is confusing you? I understand what you want me to do. I held up my hands to show that I wasn't trying to be difficult. I just don't understand why. I mean, when you said that chefs can't support their families, I meant that you won't make any money flipping burgers for the rest of your life. Oh, well, so I was thinking that there might be another solution to the whole financial aspect of our agreement. I shook my head. Is this weird? This is weird, isn't it? That we're talking about money and stuff at our age instead of I'm being practical, Caval. Nothing's wrong with that. What's your idea? You could work, I told her. What? You could work. I mean, I could still do what I do want to do. And you could work if you think that I wouldn't make enough. Danielle, did you miss the part about how my parents have got a doctor lined up? No. And even if I pass on him, I'd get other offers. I'll get other offers. I mean, she waved her hands vaguely at herself, pointing out that she was obviously too desirable to stay on the market for long. If I go with any of them, I wouldn't ever have to work. How is your offer better? Well, I mean, there's me. Tempting, Caval said, but that's not the life I want. I mean, if I wanted to get a job, like for fun or something, sure, but I didn't want to have to work. Not when I have the option not to. I want traditional marriage. I want someone to take care of me. I thought this was a good compromise. It's not. Look, she reached over and touched my arm. I'm sorry, okay? I know this sounds uncool or whatever, but I've thought a lot about it, and I'm telling you, my way is the only way this works. Just trust me. Don't worry about anything but doing well in the Renaissance man. Say how great Churchill was. He wasn't, not all the time. She sighed and let her hand slide away from me. I want to talk about Bengal famine, Kaval. I want to write about it. It's important. It's not, she snapped, okay? It'll change nothing. Those people will stay dead. Even if you totally thrash him, everyone will still laugh at Churchill's jokes and keep thinking of him as a hero. All you'll manage to is to piss off Tippett. You'll fail history and you'll be exactly where you are. What if I did a really good job, though? I asked. What if I wrote such a great paper on the famine that I was impressed everyone, Tippett, my dad, your parents? It would work, right? Everyone would get what they wanted. You really think you could pull that off? Even if it were possible, Danielle, you wouldn't be able to do it without help. I'm not going to help you if you won't listen to me. I looked away from her. This is a chance for you to change who you are, okay? It's a chance to change how everyone looks at you. Don't waste it. I told Tsar what Kaval had said, and I could tell that he wanted to say, I told you so. It was written all over his face. After all, he warned me that Kaval was out of my league and with this weird egg theory. Instead of rubbing my face in it, however, he just handed me a video game controller and started up the first-person shooter. I didn't usually agree to play shooters with Tsar. It scared the poop out of me because he randomly liked to freak other players out by bursting into bouts of loud, nonsensical Arabic in a threatening tone. Sometimes he'd scream out stuff like, "Die, infidel dogs," as he attacked the opposition. I was pretty certain that the government was going to come for him, and maybe me for being around him one day. But more urgently, I pleaded with him to stop. The more he laughed, the more he did. Today, however, we played pretty much in silence until he asked, did it hurt? What? When Kaval said those things to you at school? I shrugged. Then when Tsar didn't seem to want to move on, I nodded. Do you think she knew it would hurt you? Do you think she cared? What's your point? I think you should forget her, Danielle. She's a bee. No, she's not. Yar, come on. Don't tell me you're going to defend. What did she do wrong? I've been thinking about it, yeah. Okay, it's super sucked in the moment for me, but she's allowed to want things, right? She knows what kind of life she wants, and she's demanding it. There's nothing wrong with that. She should be happy. You're a better person than I am, he muttered. This is true, I said. He elbowed my ribs, but without much force. And maybe she's right about everything, I added. No, Tsar said, she's not. You're allowed to want things. You wanted to be a chef since we were kids, and that Courtney girl used to come over. Oh yeah, whatever happened to her? Her family moved to like Phoenix or Jersey or something, dude. Watch out for I see him. I said, having my character duck behind a car for cover. Anyway, yeah, I tried to look her up, but I couldn't remember her last name. I thought about it and shook my head. I can't either. Funny, isn't it? How someone can be so important in your life. Next thing you know, it's 13 years later. You can't even remember her name. I glanced at him. You're trying to tell me something. Nah, Tsar said with a grin. What could I possibly be trying to tell you? We made our way through the streets of Karachi together in silence for a while, streets that we'd never walked, but where our parents had lived and loved and known joy, and I wondered if they, all these years later, knew the city as well as they did, though it had been part of their everyday reality, and I was only ever virtually there. I really liked her, I said. Everybody knows. I could do it. Like everything she wanted. I could go to school in Karachi, come back, become what she wants me to be. She basically said she'd wait for me if I did. And Desire let out the irritated sigh but didn't say anything. Isn't that what love is? Aren't you supposed to compromise and change for the person you love? Zara groaned and paused the game. I couldn't remember the last time I ever stopped a game for anything other than nourishment. He went to quit the option. What are you doing? I'm done being on the same team as you. Let's play a game when I can punch you in the face. I laughed despite everything that was happening with Kaval. Tsar had that effect on people. Can I tell you something? Yeah, I said. What? I wouldn't say things like that to you. Not ever. Just to get something I want, but you didn't. I never make your life without me. Do you know why? I shook my head. Because I love you. Was he saying it was obvious Kaval Sabzari didn't love me? I was pretty sure he was right, and I didn't know what to say in response. We sat together staring at the menu screen before us, asking if we really wanted to stop playing. Finally, I said, Notori looked good today, right? I know, Zara practically squealed. That dress, Merchain Yar. I wasn't sure if a dress could be spicy exactly, but it certainly had been the color of ground red pepper. She's great. I've been telling you. I know, I said dryly. It's just that she's been really nice to me about Renaissance Man, even though Alan and the others hate me. Anyway, we were talking today, and I may have told her that you liked her outfit. Czar's mouth dropped open, and he shoved me so hard I nearly fell off the couch. No way. What? Why? Calm down. It was fine. She seemed, I don't know, happy to hear it. You should ask her out. But Pierre told me that the thoughts and prayers weren't working. Zara reminded me. Maybe that just means it's time to do something yourself.